Good evening, everybody. This is Rob from Flourish and Plan, and we're getting ready to do day 10 of the Diamine Inkvent Calendar for December 10th. Spoiler alert, we are going to be opening these inks up and swatching them, so if you don't want to see what these inks look like, avert your gaze. Alright, this one's called Nostalgia. Looks like it's going to be in the purple family, and it's a chameleon color. You know I love me some inks with some crazy characteristics, so I'm interested to see what this ink shifts into. Sorry for the plastic ASMR. Just tuck that out of the way. Let's get right into it. It's a bit of a dry ink. It's kind of gripping to the swirls in the glass nib and not traveling very well. Now it seems to be changing into a brown tone. How interesting. One of the comments that I received on a previous video was if I'm going to do some chromatography and try to get the colors to diverge on some kitchen toweling, I should, after putting my swab down, put a couple drops of water on it to speed that up a little bit. So let's try that and see what happens. Oh, nuts, I lost my nib again. Fiddlesticks. Not the first time that's happened to me. I've really got to make sure that nib is seated well. Well, got the nib out. Let's see if I can clean it off and get it back into action without making too much of a mess. Get on there. So I'll just dip the nib in some water and carry that on over and see what happens. I don't know how much water to put on here, so we'll just do 2 dips and see what happens. Keep a roll of kitchen towel at the desk for ink-related purposes. So I'm just going to tuck that under there because it looks like it's really separating. This was a very good tip I received. I can definitely see some purple and some brown. So my hypothesis was correct in the colors. Has anyone else ever noticed that in the Midori paper, the grid lines don't pick up the color of the ink so well? So you're sort of left with a negative impression or reverse impression. I find that to be fascinating. I think I want to try to put a little bit of water on this too. I don't know what that's going to do to the paper. It may buckle or pucker, but let's see. I'll just do a little bit. It's for science. Why the nib falling off never seems to happen in the cup of water, but only in these teeny tiny ink wells. I'll never understand. It's a pretty dry ink. I usually find Diamine inks to be juicy for the most part. This one is pretty dry. Also, if anyone has any suggestions on what kind of stamp ink you recommend for doing work like that on a coloring card, because I've noticed that the only time these stamps bleed through to the other side is when I lay down fountain ink over top of this archival quality. Just for reference, I'm using a Ranger archival ink pad just in document black, so maybe fountain pen ink is not the friendliest over that particular kind of ink. So if anybody's got an idea about what I could use instead, I'd be much obliged. Let's do one last test on this 2025 Hobonichi cousin with the Bad Batch of Tomoe River paper. While we give those a chance to dry, some other feedback I got was it was nice to have gotten a quick flip through of the other inks for those that are not watching from the beginning, and also so that you can see any properties that may have developed as the ink sat. Not that that's going to happen that much. This was December 1, Celestial Skies. It's a shading and shimmer ink. This is Energy, December 2nd, a sheening ink. December 3rd was Carousel, a pigmented ink. December 4th was Smoky Tobacco, a shading and scented ink. December 5th was Marie Rose, a shading ink. December 6th was Fur and Fog, a sheening shimmer multichrome ink. And this is so far my favorite. December 7th is Blush, my least favorite. This is a standard ink. I don't think it should be called Blush. I think it should be called Blood. Or at least Blood Juices. December 8th is Dreamcatcher, a monster sheener. Look at that. She's a beauty. Let's test this while I've got it and see. Yep, still coming off. This is late on December 8th. December 9th was Bittersweet. It's a standard ink. And here we have December 10th, Nostalgia, a chameleon ink. Purple and brown. You can see in the chromatography the underlying pigments that make up this color. It's really pretty. And again, the only bleed through is where I went over the stamp lines that were done with a document black archival ink pad with the fountain pen ink, and that caused a little bit of bleed through, but the fountain pen ink itself is not bleeding through. So that is the coloring cards on the MD paper, cream paper with the grid. You can see interesting thing happens where I put a drop of water. It's really pretty ink. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the smoky tobacco when it's done color shifting. No bleed through. You can see a little bit of ghosting, but I'm okay with ghosting. I just don't like bleed through. Does not really change color once it's dry. And finally, we have the Hobonichi Cousin, Day 10 Nostalgia. Let's check for bleed through. Oh yeah, at the beginning and the end, where the ink was heaviest, got some pretty significant bleed through. I'm not surprised, it's a darker color. Alright, so that is Day 10 in the Diamine Inkvent 2025 calendar. I hope you enjoyed this little science experiment, and if you did, if you could give it a like and a follow and maybe even a comment, let me know your thoughts on this whole process. I would really love to hear from some of you. And as always, take care of yourself and take care of each other. Have a great day.